Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
This is the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
Welcome back. Special thanks to Javier Mangeris of the Floridian Press for that last segment. Joining me now is a woman who is a true force of nature. One of the most persistent, resilient, hardest working, highly intelligent, investigative journalists in America today. She has been banned, she has been vilified, she has been smeared, but there's never any instance in which she cannot both defend herself and everything she reports. Laura Loomer joins us now on the Roger Stone Show.
Thank you for having me, Roger.
Great. I'm delighted we were able to hook up. Look, there's full disclosure here. You and I are very good friends. When I was going through 2 years of unmitigated hell, being smeared as a Russian asset, you were one of a handful of people who stuck with me. And for that, my wife, Needy, and I will always be grateful. And you ran two valiant campaigns for Congress. The first one in which you received a higher percentage of the vote in an overwhelmingly Democratic district, a district that Donald Trump happens to live in, than anyone in history. And then a second race for Congress in which, I don't say this lightly, I'm absolutely persuaded by looking at the actual vote records out of Lake County, I believe you were cheated out of a congressional seat. And I say that for the record. No, it's not just an excuse. I think it is a truth. But today I have to question whether or not, even though you didn't get elected to Congress, you may be having a greater impact on what's happening in this country than you would even have had as a member of Congress. Because your journalism has taken off in a way that is really extraordinary. You have almost, last time I looked, 750,000 followers on X, formerly known as Twitter. Your Rumble show, Loomer Unleashed, which runs twice a week, has viewership off the charts, and it's because you bring the receipts. There's nothing you report that you can't back up. So, first of all, my congratulations. And, of course, the great affection of both my wife and I.
Thank you. Well, obviously, I love you and your wife very much. You're both dear friends, and not many people can say, I think I'm the only person aside from your wife who can say that they were at your house the day that you got raided by the FBI and at your house the day that President Trump called you to commute your sentence.
Absolutely true. So what I really want to focus on today is the ongoing New York trials against President Donald Trump. Yeah. The current trial before Judge Engoron seems to be one of the greatest travesties I've ever seen. First of all, he's being charged. Trump has been charged under a law under which no other person has ever been charged in the history of the state. And it is a quote-unquote crime or an offense in which there is no victim. In other words, Trump is accused of overvaluing assets in order to borrow money in loans, which were fully paid back with handsome interest. And the banks in question, they don't take the borrower's word for it. They use their own appraisers. They use their own lawyers. and they made a lot of money. This whole case reeks of a political hit job.
Absolutely. And not only that, too, but there's, numerous inconsistencies and ethical dilemmas that have arisen in this case due to the fact that Engoron himself has, as I've exposed through my investigative journalism that you highlighted, has had inappropriate ex parte communications with Michael Cohen, who is the star witness, of course, brought forth by Letitia James. There's video evidence of Arthur Engoron's son attending anti-Trump rallies with Letitia James. You have the Twitter post that I've uncovered from the wife of Judge Engoron, Dawn Marie Engoron, who was making anti-Trump comments and talking about how the judge was going to rule on this matter while the trial was taking place, including the day that Trump himself testified in front of the court. And on top of that, too, you have Letitia James, who is guilty of which she is accusing Trump of being guilty of. This is a woman who failed to disclose a dark money loan from anti-Trump operatives that I uncovered and reported on. And as I'm going to be releasing in the next few days as well, she has some issues of her own when it comes to, disproportionately valuing her assets as a way to avoid taxes. And so it's interesting, right, Roger, because you saw this when you were targeted by the deep state, and now we're seeing this in the case of Donald Trump as well. Everything that these people accuse, whether it's you, Donald Trump, General Flynn, whoever their next target is, they themselves are guilty of the offense that they attack right-wingers for. I mean, it's like clockwork. It could be tomorrow, it could be next year, it could be 2 years from now, but there's always a story that ends up coming out that shows that, in fact, the people doing the accusing are guilty. We saw this with Russiagate, where one of the main investigators in the Russiagate scandal was arrested for having inappropriate and treasonous business dealings. Do you remember this story, Roger?
Yes, with Charlie McGonigal. Yep.
With Russian oligarchs. And so it's just really unbelievable. I've never seen so much emotional gaslighting in my life. And that's exactly what it is. It's not just an abuse of power. It's not just treason. It's not just weaponized government. It really is emotional abuse. The American people are victims of emotional gaslighting.
Yeah, it's interesting that in the new charges against Hunter Biden, which I spoke about earlier in the show, because I reported every dime of income, I owe the IRS taxes. 75% of the $2 million I owe is interest and penalties, which they refuse to negotiate down as they would with any other taxpayer in a settlement. But Hunter Biden is not charged with violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act. It is absolutely clear from the laptop contents that were published by MarcoPoloUSA.org. By the way, folks, if you want to see graphically, directly, all of Hunter Biden's laptop material and how damning it is, go to MarcoPoloUSA.org. You can either download it from their site. The pornographic images have been blurred, so it's safe to have around the house if you have children. But it is also carefully annotated, but it is completely faithful to the original. And anybody who's seen that can see it's quite obvious that Hunter Biden worked as an agent for Ukrainian interests, Chinese interests, Romanian interests, and Russian interests, yet he never filed a Foreign Agents Registration Act filing. And the problem with that is Paul Manafort was charged and given solitary confinement for that crime. It is a true two-tiered system and a double standard. If it weren't for double standards, the Democrats would have no standards at all.
Absolutely.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the U.S. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Laura, I know that Governor Ron DeSantis is one of your favorite topics. You and I.
He's my best friend. I know that you're his best friend too. We're gonna have to see who takes the title for the bestest of best friends, Roger, when it comes to Ron DeSantis.
Look, I think you and I, not to blow our own horns, but I think we were among the first people in the state to see that after his 2020 reelection, even before it, there were strong indications that he was going to challenge the man who made him, the man who lifted him out of political obscurity, catapulted him to the Republican gubernatorial nomination, and then dragged his butt over the finish line because he was not a very good general election candidate in the 2018 election. And we both took a huge amount of abuse of people saying, why are you dividing the movement? He's not running. He would never do that. These are unfair attacks on him. He has no intention of running. And we turned out to be right about that. Ron DeSantis wanted to run for president in the worst possible way. And I would submit to you that's exactly what he has done.
Yeah, look, he's run one of the worst campaigns ever in United States history. And so, look, the other day, we're quickly approaching the Iowa caucus. And, of course, Ron DeSantis is going to learn the hard way yet again that he could spend hundreds of millions of dollars like he has, and he's not going to win. He's not going to win Iowa. And so just this last week, his wife, just a day ago, was literally calling on people all across the country to flock and descend upon Iowa ahead of the caucus to commit voter fraud. And so you see that every single thing that they do, whether it's being disloyal to President Trump, calling for election fraud, trying to take credit for President Trump's accomplishments and pretend like, you were elected as governor without the help of President Trump, as he's frequently done on the campaign trail thus far. Ron DeSantis just cannot stop taking L's, right? And if you don't know what an L is, if you're listening to this radio show, it's a loss, right? He just cannot stop losing. And everybody's able to see this except for him. He seems to be the only person that is incapable of reading the room. It's the first time in 7 years in our country where the right and the left have actually been able to come together. I mean, you have the most right-wing factions of this country, Roger, coming together with the most left-wing factions of this country to agree on one thing. And that one thing is that we all hate Ron DeSantis. That one thing is that Ron DeSantis is the most sanctimonious politician to ever run for president in the history of this country. And yet he cannot take a hint.
Yeah, his debate performances just confound me. He reminds me of the 1960 circuit, Richard Nixon, before Roger Ailes, later founder of Fox News, came and kind of reinvented Nixon, trained him on how to look and act on television. Great book on this called The Selling of the President, 1968. I saw Roger Ailes' widow, Beth Ailes, recently, and we spent a few minutes talking about what a genius Roger Ailes was and how he transformed and breathed life back into the political career of Richard Nixon. But DeSantis reminds me of the pre-1960 Nixon. Too hot, too nervous, too jumpy, a completely inauthentic smile. The guy should not even try to smile. He doesn't have a natural smile. He doesn't look good when he's trying to smile. And that debate with Gavin Newsom, because I'm a junkie, so of course I watched it. But Newsom, I think, easily won on style. You could argue that Ron won on substance because his case was so much easier. Florida versus California. California is a basket case. Taxes, crime, you name it. It's a dumpster fire. Yet, at most, based on everything I saw, the governor of Florida got nothing whatsoever out of that debate. What's your impression, Laura, of the governor's debate style?
Well, I was at the debate, not to watch the debate because I had no interest in the debate. I was there as an exclusive Rumble creator doing my live stream. And then, of course, I ended up watching the debate. And, during the commercial break, I actually filmed a video because I wanted to document Ron DeSantis's very strange mannerisms, because everybody has realized, as you said, he has terrible debate skills. President Trump mentioned this last night when speaking at the New York Young Republican Gala, and, he called him out for his high heels and his bobblehead BS, and you can see that clip. President Trump gave a really great speech last night in New York, and the reality is that he just doesn't have the stage presence. And you, Roger, you're a seasoned political operative and strategist, and you know as much as I know, debates are popularity contests. This is why President Trump did so well in 2015 and 2016, because he was able to bypass the scripted media lines, bypass the mainstream media, and really just like the controlled talking points and flow of your typical GOP presidential debate. And he was able to speak directly to the American people. He has charisma. Ron DeSantis does not have charisma. And in the video that I actually filmed from my seat at the debate, it went viral because all it was Ron DeSantis acting weird on the debate stage during a commercial. And it was such a funny clip that even The Daily Show, this is what I'm talking about with the right and the left, the farthest, most progressive left-wing factions of our country coming together over the fact that Ron DeSantis is very politically awkward. And they narrated the clip, Roger. I'm sure you've seen this video. It's gone viral now. It has over 5 million views on Twitter. And everybody's laughing about it because you can't actually look at Ron DeSantis and say he's likable. Even Megyn Kelly, as disingenuous as that woman is, right? Pretending that Ron DeSantis won the debate. She was caught on a hot mic at the News Nation debate that she moderated the other night, Roger. I don't know if you saw this. And she was making fun of Ron DeSantis' inability to connect and his failure at retail politics. So even the debate moderators that are probably paid off to say that he won the debate when he didn't win the debate, the clear winner was Vivek Ramaswamy. They don't even believe the bull crap that they're trying to force feed the American people, Roger.
Yeah, it's interesting. The DeSantis campaign made so much of the fact that he's visited 99 counties, keep calling it the full Grassley, after Senator Chuck Grassley, a great man whose tradition it is to visit every county in the year in which he's up for re-election. But they lose sight of that Vivek Ramaswamy has visited all 99 counties, except for within a couple of days, he will have done so twice, visited all of them 2 times. And the extent to which the Iowa caucuses, even though they have a different structure that day, has become more like a primary in the sense that the voter participation will be much larger than it has been historically. So I think you had about 125,000 voters came out for the 2016 caucuses. We didn't have contested contests there in 2020. I think you could have 185,000 Republicans come out on a cold night for the Iowa caucuses. And this is not where you don't just walk in and vote and leave in a machine or by paper. That's a primary. This is where you have to go to a meeting and you have to sit through a meeting and you have to stay a while and you have to cast your vote during the meeting. That's why they call them caucuses. And this idea that the support of Kim Reynolds, another backstabber, who begged Donald Trump for an endorsement when she was in a competitive race, but now has fully endorsed Ron DeSantis, or the endorsement of Reverend Bob Vanderputz, who's a big evangelical. Turns out that he may have gotten at least $50,000. I read elsewhere it was $500,000. Laura, maybe you can clarify that, but clearly sold his endorsement. Endorsements are not transferable. No one says, oh, I was going to vote for Trump, but now I'm going to vote for Ron DeSantis because Bob Vanderputz is for him. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. Never has. The one exception to that, in all the years I've been in American politics, 45 years, the only endorsement that actually packs a punch at the polls, ironically, is the endorsement of Donald Trump. The endorsement of Donald Trump in a congressional or U.S. Senate primary can absolutely, literally make or break a candidate. I say this not only through observation, but by studying reams and reams and reams of polling. But the idea that Reynolds and Vanderputz are going to put DeSantis over the top that's an absurdity.
Yeah, look, Vanderputz ran for governor of Iowa 3 times. If his endorsement is so significant and so influential, why is he a 3-time losing gubernatorial candidate for Iowa, right? I mean, look, the guy seems to think that he's worth more than he really is. And let's not forget, too, that Kim Reynolds was kissing President Trump's ass, begging for his endorsements when she ran for governor as well, only to turn around and stab him in the back. And so there was recent polling, Roger, I'm sure you saw this as well, that came out and shows that Kim Reynolds and Ron DeSantis are currently listed as the 2 most unpopular governors in the entire country. I mean, that says a lot. That says a lot when you're dealing with people like Gavin Newsom, okay, and Kathy Hochul. So when you are more unpopular than people like Kathy Hochul and Governor Newsom, that says a lot. The Trump factor is a major factor here when it comes to favorability for governors because loyalty matters. And the only people who really haven't gotten the memo about how important loyalty is to the American people are these candidates themselves. I mean, even Gavin Newsom was smart enough to pick up on this when he debated Ron DeSantis at Sean Hannity's little debate that he had last week. And he said, in a couple weeks, you're going to be groveling, coming back, endorsing Donald Trump, right? And he called him out for being disloyal to President Trump. Loyalty matters. If you're not going to be loyal to the people who brought you to the dance, how can you be expected to be loyal to your country and the American people? And that is something that I hope people study for generations to come in this country if we continue to even have a country. That time will tell if we do, right? It's going to be largely dependent on whether President Trump is elected in 2024 or else this country's over. The average empire only lasts about 250 years, and we're currently at 247 years. And I think we're going to have an early death if Donald Trump doesn't get reelected, Roger. But if we are able to get Donald Trump back into the White House, trust me when I say history books and political science books are going to be written, and you can comment on whether you agree on this or not, about the impact of loyalty when it comes to presidential politics and presidential elections in our country.
I agree with your analysis. Look, I know the history. I remember when Trump endorsed DeSantis, lifting him out of obscurity. I did not think early on that anyone other than politicians would care about that. The fact that Ron DeSantis engaged in a treacherous act of backstabbing and ingratitude, I really did not think it would register with the voters, but in fact, it has done so. Laura, tell people where they can go to see your great work.
Well, thank you, Roger. And people can go to my website, Loomer.com. I also have a show on Rumble twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So rumble.com/Laura Loomer. It's called Loomer Unleashed. And I'm also on Locals. So people can go to my Locals channel as well. And that's where people can sign up to view all of my my information and get all of my exclusive investigative reports. I'm on X and Truth Social at Laura Loomer as well.
All right, folks. So please go to those sites and also financially support the investigative journalism of the great Laura Loomer. I'm afraid we're out of time here. Laura Loomer, thank you for joining us on the Roger Stone Show. And folks, you want to stay tuned because Joe Piscopo is next with Sundays with Sinatra. This has been the Roger Stone Show. God bless you and Godspeed.